का सेमिनार में आप सभी लोगों का स्वागत है। आज हम लोग का संस्कार भारती की तरफ से आज हम लोग ने मथुरा महात्म्य वाङ्मयीन ऐतिहासिक एवं पुरातात्विक परीक्षक ये विषय पर हम लोग ने आज सेमिनार रखा है। आज के हमारे स्पीकर थे स्नेहा नगरकर जी। वी वेलकम टू स्नेहा नगरकर मैडम फॉर दिस सेशन। स्नेहा नगरकर मैम के बारे में हम लोग थोड़ी जानकारी जान लेते हैं। Sneha Nagarkar is currently a visiting faculty at the Department of Archaeology, Center for the Extramural Studies, University of Mumbai and Center for the History Studies. She is the recipient of the Tagore National Scholarship for 2019 and 20, and she is pursuing this research through the Asiatic Institute of Mumbai. Sneha Nagarkar is a PhD research scholar at the Mahatmya Dr. P.V. Khan Institute, where he is carrying out her doctoral research under the supervision of Professor Dr. Suraj Pandit. Her areas of specializations are Vaishnavism, archaeology of religion, archaeology of text, ancient Indian art and iconography, as well as ancient Indian economy. She has authored a book titled Ancient Indian Economy, The Role of Virtue, which has been published by the Indica today in 2023. She has 34 publications, including 16 research papers, 12 research articles, and 6 popular articles to her credit, and has delivered 63 public lectures. She has presented 31 research papers in state, national, and international conferences. She has conducted many heritage walks in Mumbai and Vrindavan, Uttar Pradesh. संस्था भारती कोकण प्रांत की तरफ से स्नेहा जी का हम स्वागत करते हैं। मैं स्नेहा जी को रिक्वेस्ट करता हूँ कि वो उनके सेमिनार के लिए प्रारंभ करें। ओवर टू यू स्नेहा।
धन्यवाद संकेत जी। आप सभी को राधे राधे, नमस्ते। और मैं अभी मेरे व्याख्यान का आरंभ करती हूँ। उससे पहले मैं बस स्क्रीन शेयर करती हूँ एंड देन आई विल स्टार्ट। क्या आपको स्क्रीन दिख रही है पूरी?
Yes.
दिख रही है ना? ओके। So the title of my paper, or rather my lecture, is Mathura Mahatmya, Perspectives from Literature, History and Archaeology. तो इसमें हम जो मथुरा नगर है, मथुरा तीर्थ है, उसकी चर्चा आज हम वाङ्मयीन ऐतिहासिक और पुरातात्विक परिप्रेक्ष्य में करेंगे। मथुरा का जब हम नाम लेते हैं तो पहली बात जो हमें याद आती है, ध्यान में आती है, वो है कि वहां पे भगवान श्री कृष्ण का प्राकट्य हुआ था। भगवान को उनके पिताजी ने मथुरा से वो उन्हें गोकुल ले गए और गोकुल महावन तथा वृंदावन में भगवान श्री कृष्ण ने अपना बचपन गुजारा और बाद में फिर वे अक्रूर जी के साथ और अपने बड़े भ्राता बलराम जी के साथ मथुरा आए और उन्होंने कंस का वध किया और वो खुद राजा नहीं बने। He consecrated, he coronated his grand uncle Ugrasena as the king of Mathura, and Krishna clearly says that I don't want anything, I don't want wealth, I don't want grain, I don't want this kingdom. So इतने जो मतलब जो परम वैराग्य का प्रतीक है हमारे भारतीय संस्कृति में, उनकी जन्मभूमि है मथुरा। और ऐतिहासिक दृष्टि से, पुरातात्विक दृष्टि से मथुरा का स्थान भारतीय नगरों में अग्रगण्य है। कला के परिप्रेक्ष्य में भी अगर हम देखें तो मथुरा कला का भारतीय कला के क्षेत्र में असामान्य योगदान रहा है। तो चलिए अभी मथुरा की चर्चा प्रारंभ करते हैं। हमारे सनातन धर्म में 7 मोक्षदायिनी पुरियां हैं। एंड विच आर दीज? There's अयोध्या, हरिद्वार, काशी, कांची, अवंतिका एंड द्वारावती। And among these is Mathura, and Mathura has been a sacred place since the Mauryan age. And the speciality of Mathura is that it was a center where Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, and the folk religions flourished together. मथुरा ऐसी भूमि रही है जहाँ पे हिंदू धर्म, बौद्ध धर्म, जैन धर्म तथा लोक धर्म फ्लरिश हुए हैं। और हम सभी को पता है, जैसे कि मैंने पहले उल्लेख किया, कि वो भगवान श्री कृष्ण की जन्मभूमि है। और आज अगर हम देखें तो मथुरा तथा वृंदावन, सिर्फ मथुरा और वृंदावन ही नहीं एक्चुअली देखा जाए तो, पर पूरी जो ब्रज भूमि है या जो मॉडर्न मथुरा डिस्ट्रिक्ट है, वो सभी, वो पूरा प्रदेश आज कृष्ण भक्ति का एक प्रमुख केंद्र है। और ये कई सदियों से ये प्रमुख केंद्र रहा है, विशेष करके 16वीं सदी से, ईस्वी सन की 16वीं सदी से। So this is the map of the modern district of Mathura. Here the blue line is of course the perennial river Yamuna, which almost flows through the center of the Mathura district. Okay, and here is the city of Mathura. If you see the location of the city of Mathura, it is almost at the center of the Mathura district. To its north, along the Yamuna, is Vrindavan. Similarly, to its northwest, we have Nandgaon and Barsana, which are also very important places of pilgrimage. And here, almost to its west, is the site of Govardhana. So these are some of the important pilgrimage sites in and around Mathura. And here, of course, we have Gokula. And to the southeast of Gokula, we have Baldev. Baldev is a site which is known for the temple of Baladev. And this site, which you can see here, Sonk, is a very important archaeological site. And यहाँ पे प्राक ऐतिहासिक काल से लेकर गुप्त काल तक या थोड़े उसके पश्चात हमें पुरातात्विक सामग्री प्राप्त हुई है। और ये सौंक, जैसे कि आप देख रहे हैं, कि गोवर्धन के बिल्कुल पास है। और सौंक शायद स्वयं एक नगर रहा होगा मथुरा राज्य में, शूरसेन महाजनपद में। So the Mathura district is situated in the western part of the modern state of Uttar Pradesh. And of course, the lifeline of this district is the Yamuna River, which, as we have just seen, flows through its center. And the Yamuna has changed its course a number of times, and paleo channels can be seen near the present flow of the river. And the soil here, which you see, is called Pilia in the local language, in the Brajabhasha, because it is lightish yellow in color. In terms of geology, if we see, Mathura is a part of the Indo-Gangetic alluvium. Topography of the Mathura district is mainly a plain. The whole land is almost flat, but there are outliers of the Aravalis at Govardhana and Barsana. And of course, there is a very high hill in Nandagaon also. And even today, if you see, pasture land is available in plenty. Of course, now gradually it is disappearing because of the high rate of urbanization, but still, especially when you go into the Mofussil areas, in the interior areas, you do see a lot of pasture land. And agriculture and pastoralism have flourished simultaneously in this region. Even today, if you go to the interior area, the Mofussil area, there people practice both pastoralism and agriculture. So a person will have his own feed, but he will also have animals like cows and buffaloes. Now, the whole district of Mathura is a part of the Yamuna plains, and the plains are spread on both sides of the river Yamuna. And in the ancient times, if you see, there were vanas, okay, and vanas meaning forests, and sacred groves along the Yamuna, which have now almost disappeared because of the urbanization. And the low hills located at Govardhana, Barsana, and Nandagaon have acquired a lot of importance. And Mathura is very strategically located in the sense that it is located near the entrance of the Ganga Yamuna Doab. Now, coming to the literary references, there is a reference to Mathura in the Uttarakanda of the Valmiki Ramayana. Sri Rama's brother Shatrughna killed a demon called Lavanasura who had established a city called Madhura or Mathura. And after conquering him, Shatrughna describes the city of Mathura in the following words: Iyam Madhupuri Ramya Madhura Deva Nirmita. And let me tell you, some of the Greek geographers have also called Mathura as a sacred city created by the gods. So it's not just an Indic source which is saying that, but we also have Greek scholars and historians recording the tradition of perceiving Mathura as a god created or a deity created city. Now, the Harivamsha, which is the first biography of Sri Krishna and a killer parva of the Mahabharata, says that actually it was Shatrughna who established a proper city of Mathura. So the shloka goes, Tasmin Madhuvana Sthane Mathura Nama Sapuri Shatrughna Pura Srishta Hatva Danavam Rani. So once Shatrughna killed the Danava, that is Lavanasura, he established a Puri, a city by the name of Mathura. Many a times when that name, the word Puri is used, it indicates a fortified settlement which had a fortification wall around it. We'll see that. And in the Harivamsha itself, in the 44th Adhyaya, there is a beautiful description of Mathura. Now, God was going to, come down as an incarnation, down in the sense from Vaikuntha. He was going to incarnate as the son of Vasudeva and Devaki. So the place where he was to be born had to be an ideal place. So the Harivamsha describes Mathura as a noble town with a fortification wall. It is in fact described as a fortress with watchtowers and gateways, full of luxurious mansions, gardens, groves, full of people, and it was in the shape of a moon crescent on the banks of the Yamuna. Similarly, it was full with markets, and these markets had precious jewels, and Mathura had fertile fields. So this is an absolutely beautiful description, and the shape of the moon crescent, which the Harivamsha talks about. Let me tell you, when the excavations were carried out in the 1960s and 70s, or even a little earlier in Mathura at a few sites, the fortification wall was actually in the shape of a crescent. So the city was indeed in the shape of a crescent. And the Mahatmyas of Mathura appearing in Puranas like Varaha, Padma, and Skanda tell us about the divinity of Mathura. And in fact, the Mathura Mahatmya, which appears in the Varaha Purana, is the most detailed Mahatmya of the city of Mathura. I will not say Mathura region per se, because the focus of this text is the city of Mathura, though it also describes other places like Mahavana, Govardhana, and of course Vrindavana. And many of the other texts like Rupa Goswami's Mathura Mahatmya or Narayan Bhatta's Vraja Bhakti Vilasa or the Garga Samhita, they have based their descriptions of Mathura on the version of the Mathura Mahatmya present in the Varaha Purana. Now, the Arthashastra talks about Mathura as one of the places which was well known for the production of cotton. Similarly, Patanjali mentions Mathura at least 8 times. Mathura has been described as the center of power of the Andhaka Vrishnis. Now, the Andhaka Vrishnis were two sub clans of the larger group known as the Yadavas. In fact, the Yadavas had various, you can say sub groups. So, there were Bhojas, there were Andakas, there were Vrishnis, there were Satvatas, and of course, some people say that the Andaka Vrishnis and the Satvatas are the same. Now, Patanjali has noted that the people of Mathura are more affluent than the people of Pataliputra and Shankishya. Similarly, Manusmriti mentions Shurasena Kaha as a part of the Brahmarishi country along with Kurukshetra, Matsya, and Panchala. So, Shurasena Kaha are actually the people living in the Shurasena area, and Shurasena was one of the names for the Janapada, of which Mathura was the capital. I've already spoken about the tradition of the Saptapuris, and this has been mentioned in the Garuda Purana. Buddhist texts refer to Shurasena Janapada along with its capital Mathura, and in a Jataka known as the Ghata Jataka, they narrate the enmity between Krishna and his uncle Kamsa. Though the versions in the Buddhist Ghata Jataka greatly differ from the Hindu sources. Similarly, there is a reference in the Majjhima Nikaya to Mahakatyayana, who lived at Gundavana in Madhura, that is Mathura. I've already spoken about the Ghata Jataka. Similarly, the Anguttara Nikaya lists Shurasena in the 16 Mahajanapadas and includes Mathura as a part of Shurasena, but there is no exact reference to Mathura as the capital. Then there are many other Buddhist texts which speak about the glory of Mathura, like Mula Sarvastivada Vinaya Vastu, Milinda Panya, and Lalita Vistara. Lalita Vistara is a well known biography of Lord Gautam Buddha. Now, Anguttara Nikaya also has a reference to the Buddha visiting Mathura. The Buddha is supposed to have visited Mathura, but he was not very happy with this place. And why was it? The ground was not even, the roads were covered with dust, malevolent yakshas were playing havoc, and it was extremely difficult to get alms. At the same time, some other Buddhist sources mention that on one occasion the Buddha did get alms in Mathura and was worshipped by the local people. And Avantiputta was the king of Mathura during the lifetime of the Buddha, and he is supposed to be the son of the daughter of Chanda Pradyota, the ruler of Avanti. Frankly speaking, we really don't know whether the Buddha actually visited Mathura or no, because the core area of the Buddha's work was eastern UP and Bihar. But the Buddhist traditions do record his visit, and probably we may say that it was the Dharmakaya of the Buddha which came to Mathura, and it did come to Mathura. The teachings of Buddha did come to Mathura, and Mathura was a well known, a very well established center of Buddhism. Anyway, then in inscriptions also we have a reference to Mathura, the Sohagora copper plate, and the well-known Hathi Gumfa inscription of King Kharavela, which has been inscribed in the Hathi Gumfa at the Udaygiri cave near Bhuvaneshwar in Odisha. Similarly, an inscription, they mention Mathura, and an inscription discovered from the Jamalpur Mountains. Now, Jamalpur is an area which is towards the south of Mathura, and in the 19th century, it had a series of mounds and a number of artifacts, of which pillar bases were important, significant, were retrieved from Jamalpur. So, an inscription discovered from Jamalpur dating to the reign of Huvishka was a Kushana ruler, refers to the children of actors from Mathura. Now, coming to the more historical outline, Paleolithic stone tools like hand axes have been discovered near the Govardhan Ridge in 1975. Here we can see some stone tools which have been discovered in and around Mathura, in and around Govardhana. These are lower Paleolithic tools. Then coming to the proto-historic period, copper celts dated to the mid second millennium BCE have been discovered at Sadabad in the Mathura district. And these copper celts, as you can see in the picture, these are, in fact, an enigma to Indian archaeology. And they were associated with a pottery known as the ochre colored pottery. And these copper hoards are found in various shapes. Most of them are weapons, but this is an anthropomorphic figure, and some people have associated some kind of a ritual connection, some ritual aspects with such a kind of a copper artifact. Then excavations were conducted at the site of Sonk by the German archaeologist Herbert Hertel from 1966 to 1974, and pottery like painted grey ware, black and red ware, northern black polished ware, Gupta period pottery, and a number of terracottas were unearthed at Sonk. So these are the mounds at Sonk. Presently, the site comes under the control of the Directorate of Archaeology of the Uttar Pradesh government. But let me tell you, this site is in a very bad condition right now, and it can be lost if proper care is not taken. It can be lost, and it has given us some very valuable information as far as the historical outline, as far as the history of Mathura is concerned. These are some of the artifacts retrieved from Sonk. They're mainly pots and potsherds belonging to various periods. This is a painted greyware bowl, as you can see. These are various shapes. This is a votive tank. This is a small terracotta replica of a house which was found at Sonk. So it gives us an idea as to how houses must have been built in the early historical period in Mathura. And these type of shikharas may be designated as Shala shikharas, but this gives us an idea. Now, the present day Mathura district is situated in the central part of what was known as the Shurasena Janapada. It was also known as Mathura Rajya, Mathura Janapada, Mathura Mandala, Vraja, and Vraja Bhumi. In fact, today the most popular term is Braj or Braja or Bridge, and people also call it Braja Mandala or Vraja Mandala. And Mathura was, of course, the capital city. And Mathura is also known by different names like Mathura, Madhupura, or rather Madhupura, and Madhupuri. And Yamuna has been mentioned in the Rigveda, but there is no mention of the city of Mathura. Now, sources like the Harivamsha and the other Vaishnava Puranas associate Mathura with the Yadavas and the Shurasenas. The Yadavas, according to the Itihasa Purana traditions, are the descendants of Yadu, the eldest son of Yayati. But the foundation of the city of Mathura is, however, ascribed to Shatrughna. And he, as we have already seen, defeated the demon Lavana, the son of Madhu, who controlled the Mathura region. Now, it is believed that Shatrughna founded the city of Mathura by clearing the Madhuvana, and the city became the symbol of his victory over Lavana. This Mathura or Madhupuri has been identified with the village of Maholi, south of the modern city of Mathura. But there are many scholars who disagree, because the reason is that Mathura has been described as a city situated right on the banks of the Yamuna, and it is still so, as we all know. But Maholi, the village of Maholi, is quite far from uh, the flow, the stream of the channel of the Yamuna. So many scholars have said that Maholi or Madhuvana cannot be the original site of the ancient city of Mathura. Similarly, later, Bhima Satvata, a Yadava chief, defeated the descendants of Shatrughna and established his rule in Mathura. And after his death, his kingdom was divided into two parts among his sons, and of them Andhaka ruled Mathura. Andhaka and the Vrishnis. So Andhaka ruled Mathura. Now the Mahabharata refers to a king called Shura, who was the paternal grandfather of Krishna, that is the father of Vasudeva. And we have references in the epic as well as the Harivansha of the Shura Senas migrating to Saurashtra in Gujarat to save themselves from the constant raids of Jarasandha, the ruler of Magadha. And it is believed that, of course, Krishna uprooted Kamsa, and he also deposed the Naga chieftain Kaliya and made him leave the Mathura region. Now, the Yadavas had a segment known as Andhaka Vrishni or Satvatas, and what is important about them is that they were a Sangha or a republic. And we find that evidence in the Ashtadhyayi and Arthashastra. Now, Panini does not make a direct reference to Mathura, but he mentions the Andhaka and Vrishnis as Kshatriya clans and their Sangha. And most scholars consider the Andhaka Vrishnis to be the same as the Shurasenas. So, this is a coin of the Andhaka Vrishnis. So, on one side, they have a lion, and on the other, they have a chakra. Probably this is the Sudarshana chakra, the Ayudha of their chief Vasudeva Krishna. But the thing is that many of these Vrishni coins, as they are known, have been found in the Punjab region. So probably a branch may have shifted to Punjab. We really don't know. Now, in the early 4th century BCE, Shurasenas may have been ousted from Mathura by the Nandas. The last Nanda ruler, Dhanananda, was deposed by Chandragupta Maurya. We all know this history. And even if the Andhaka Vrishnis were defeated by the Nandas, they still might have retained some portion of Mathura. And the Vrishni Gana Sangha, in all probability, may have been a feudatory state of the Mauryan Empire. Now, Kautilya has used the term Vraja to mean herds of cattle. And every town or village may have had a Vrajabhumi or a settlement of cattle herders in its vicinity where taxes were collected from them by the state. And according to the Mathura district gazetteer, Mathura may have been the most significant of the Vraja Bhumis. But in the earlier sources, Vraja clearly refers to the region distinct from the city of Mathura, the non urban, the forested region which is distinct from the urban settlement or the city of Mathura. Now, Megasthenes, the Greek ambassador who visited the court of Chandragupta Maurya, may have visited Mathura. He mentions Mathura as Methora, and he also refers to an Heracles, okay, a deity called Heracles, who is held in high honor by the Shurasenas, or as he calls them, the Shurasenoi people. And this Heracles is generally identified with Krishna. Now, Zhuangzang mentions that he saw three stupas built by Ashoka. But let me tell you, no such stupa which can be definitely, ascribed to Ashoka has been discovered at Mathura so far. We don't know what will happen in the future, but so far, no such stupa which can be ascribed to Ashoka has come to light. Then, in the first century BCE, we have local rulers in Mathura who were known as the Mitra or the Datta kings, whose names end with the epithet Mitra or Datta. And 13 such kings have been identified, and they are mostly known because of their coins. So the names of six of these kings end with Mitra, six end with Datta, and the last king in this series was Balabhuti. Now, the coins of these local rulers are almost the same kind, with Lakshmi on the obverse and three elephants with riders on the reverse. And kings like Gomitra, Vishnu Mitra, and Surya Mitra have also been referred to in epigraphs from the Mathura region. Now, we also had the Kshatrapas, the Shaka Kshatrapas ruling over Mathura, and two of them were extremely important. One was Rajula, and the other was his son Shodasha. And the names of Rajula and Shodasha appear in a number of inscriptions, like the Lion capital inscription, the Kankali Tila Jaina votive tablet of the year 72, the Jamalpur mound stone inscription, the Mora door jam inscription, the Mora well inscription, and the Mathura broken slab inscription. And the Lion capital and the Mora well inscriptions address Rajula as Mahakshatrapa. Now, the Kshatrapa rule must have ended because of the advent of the Kushanas. And one thing we can't forget is that it was under the stable rule of the Kushanas that Mathura reached the height of urbanism, and not just urbanism but overall prosperity. Of course, the beginnings were made earlier. I'm not saying that the previous dynasties had no contribution in this. They very much had a contribution, but under the Kushanas, Mathura became a thriving metropolis, a thriving urban center, an urban hub. And the descriptions which we find in the Harivansha pertaining to Mathura most probably date from the Kushana period. And the first Kushana ruler, that is Kujula Kadphises, did not rule Mathura, but his coins have been found in the vicinity. His grandson Vima Kadphises was the first Kushana ruler to include Mathura within his empire. So this is a coin of Vima Kadphises, and apparently this is an image of Shiva who's called Oeshwar. But scholars like Harry Falk have challenged this view, and they say that no, this is not Shiva, he could be Agni. That is what, and they have given their justification. This is a statue of Vima Takshama or Vima Takho, who was the son of Kujula Kadphises and the father of Vima Kadphises. And this statue was discovered at a site known as Mat, which is on the opposite bank of the river Yamuna. And there was a Devakula of the Kushanas at Mat. And this Devakula does not mean an image gallery. It was, in all probability, a Shiva temple. And there, statues of kings like Vima Takshama or Vima Takho and his grandson, Kanishka I, have been discovered. Then we come to Kanishka I, the most celebrated ruler of the Kushana dynasty. And apparently he made Mathura the second capital of the Kushanas, and he probably lived in the city as well. Now, almost 20 inscriptions belonging to the reign of Kanishka have been discovered from the Mathura region alone, and most of them have been found inscribed on Jaina remains. And in these inscriptions, Kanishka has been referred to as Devaputra, which probably suggests that Kushana kings believed in the doctrine of divine right to kingship. So this is a gold coin of Kanishka. We see the king standing here, and on the other side, we have the image of Gautam Buddha. So this is the first depiction of Gautam Buddha on the coin of any king. In fact, the first depiction of Gautam Buddha on a coin. Okay, it's written here, Bodo. If you see, it is written here, Bodo. Okay. This is a statue of Kanishka from the Mat Devakula. You can see him, he is wearing the typical northerner's dress or Udicha Vesha, and he is carrying a sword. We can see that. And how do we say this is Kanishka? Because the inscription here states so. And if you see this image, this statue is quite similar to the one found on his coins. Okay. So this is the site of Mat. Earlier, there was a mound here, it is known as Tokri Tila or Itokri Tila. Why? Because the Kushanas were also known as the Tokarians. But here now there is no mound, the area is protected, but you don't see any structures or anything. So this Devakula was equipped with a Pushkarani and all. And it was repaired once at least. Then after the Kushanas, we have the Nagas in Mathura. And these Nagas, in all probability, were Shaivas and Naga worshippers. And according to the account given in the Puranas, 7 Naga kings ruled Mathura before the rise of the Guptas in the 4th century CE. And the Naga kings performed the Ashwamedha sacrifice a number of times. And the Naga kings remained in power till about the middle of the 4th century CE, when the last Naga king, Ganapati Naga, was defeated by the Gupta emperor Samudragupta. Now, if we go by the epigraphical evidence, Mathura was very much ruled, very much controlled by the Guptas. The Mathura inscription dated to 375 or 380 C. There is a debate regarding whether it is 375 or 380 C. It mentions the names of Maharaja Dhiraj Chandragupta, that is Chandragupta the second Vikramaditya, and his father Samudragupta. Now the inscription gives details of a Shaiva shrine built by a teacher of the Lakulisha Pashupata sect and the establishment of Shivalingas in the memory of senior Pashupata Acharyas. So this is that pillar, and here you can see an image of Lakulisha. Probably this is the first image of Lakulisha, and this pillar was found near the Rangeshwara temple in Mathura. So this is a closer look at that pillar. You can see the Brahmi inscription. The language is Sanskrit. Now, Chandragupta II, in all probability, constructed the Keshava Deva temple in the locality of Katara or Sri Krishna Janmasthana. And it was during the rule of the Guptas that the political fortunes of the Mathura region began to decline. It ceased to be the capital city, decentralization and feudalism were on the rise. At the same time, Kalidasa has lauded the region of Mathura in his works. Similarly, Faxian, who visited Mathura during the reign of Chandragupta II Vikramaditya, praises Mathura, and he talks about the flourishing state of Buddhism in the city, where the river banks were lined with a series of Buddhist monasteries which were occupied by monks. Now, this was in brief the ancient history of Mathura. After the attacks of the Hunas, and later by the after the attacks of Mahmud Ghazni, Mathura suffered greatly. It lost its political importance, it lost its economic importance, and it remained, of course, a place of religious importance. But after sacks by foreign invaders, the fortunes of the city did considerably dwindle, though, of course, art was being produced, especially Vedic Puranic art, and Jainism continued to flourish in Mathura. It remained in Mathura at least till the 13th or the 14th century. See, and even today, Mathura is a well known Jaina Tirtha, and people come there on a pilgrimage. Jainas do come there for pilgrimage. Now, coming to the archaeology of Mathura, five habitation periods have been identified, and since the early decades of the 19th century see, exploration and excavations have been carried out in detail by British and Indian archaeologists. And in the city of Mathura itself, there are a number of mounds like Ambarisha, Katara. Katara is the same as Sri Krishna Janmasthana. Govind Nagar, Mahavidya, Gatashram, Kankali, Jamalpur, Bhuteshwar, Gokarneshwar, Saptarishi. Now, all these sites are the places where you have temples which have been mentioned in the Mahatmyas of Mathura. So many of the temples which are mentioned in the Mathura Mahatmyas, especially the Mathura Mahatmya of the Varaha Purana, have today, as far as the modern shrines are concerned, they all stand on archaeological mounds. And a lot of archaeological material has been found from here. Like, for example, Kankali Tila. Today, that place, which is known as Kankali Tila, Tila means a mount in the local language, is known so because of the temple of Kankali Devi. Her original name was supposed to be Kanskali Devi, and she's supposed to have been invoked by Kamsa when he wanted to kill Krishna. And Kankali, this temple of Kankali Devi is a part of the Mathura Parikrama. But what kind of remains are found there? Mainly Jaina, and a few Buddhist and a few Vedic Paurani. But nevertheless, it is a very important place of pilgrimage today. Similarly, the fortification wall, which is known as Dhulkot, was found, and in fact, it is said that when I was talking, I was discussing about this Dhulkot with Shri Lakshmi Narayan Tiwari sir, the founder secretary of the Braj Sanskriti Shodh Sansthan in Vrindavan. Sir told me that if you see the way the fortification runs, the modern pilgrimage route follows the same path. So it actually, even the modern pilgrimage, the Parikrama Patha, was almost concurrent with the ancient fortification. This was something very important which was brought to my notice by Tiwari sir, and I'm really grateful to him for this. Now this is a now if you see, if you go to Mathura and you think that you'll be able to see this Dhul Court, you will not be able. But this is an old picture of the Dhul Court. It is called Dhul Court because it was mainly mud which was found there. The soil is like dust. That's why it is called Dhul Court. And court means a fortification. Okay. Am I not audible?
Yes, it's audible.
Audible, no? Okay. Now, we come to Mathura as a tirtha. Now, one thing we have realized that Mathura was a very important urban center right till the Gupta period. So, from the Mauryan period to the Gupta period, Mathura was an urban center, and even the Mahatmyas of Mathura, let me tell you, invariably refer to it as a Puri. They invariably refer to it as Puri. Just a minute. And what kind of a Puri was it? Beautiful and spacious. That's what the Varaha Purana says. Anyone has some doubt? Somebody has raised a hand. Kavita Naik, madam, do you have any doubt or a question? You've raised your hand.
No, no, it's just that your screen sharing is off right now. Hello?
Screen.
Hello?
Oh, the slides are not
Can you hear
moving.
me?
Yeah.
Hello?
Hello. Yes, the slides are not moving.
No, 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 they're not.
Currently, site sees
No,
Mathura and
we can't
Tirtha.
see.
What
Is
is
it
the?
right?
Oh, no, so that is the current slide.
Yeah, yeah.
That
The
is the
same slide
current
was.
slide. Mathura as a Tirtha. Yes, yes. Okay, okay, fine. Thank you. Madam, there may be some problem with your device because the slides are moving. Okay. So, the Mathura Mahatmya, as it comes in the Varaha Purana, is in the form of a dialogue between Varaha and his consort Dharani, who is also known as Bhudevi or Bhumi or Vasundhara. And Varaha is describing the greatness of Mathura to Dharani. And he says that न विद्यते च पाताले न अंतरिक्षे न मानुषे समत्वं मथुरायाः हि प्रियं मम वसुंधरे. So there is no place more dear to him, that is Varaha. No place is more dear to him than Mathura to Varaha. That is what Varaha is saying. And moreover, there is no Tirtha like Mathura, comparable to Mathura in the netherworld, heaven, or the human world. So that is the greatness of Mathura as per the Varaha Purana. In the Bhagavatam, in the Dashama Skandha, we have the famous Rasa Panchadhyay. And associated with the Rasa Panchadhyay is the Gopi Geetam, which is found in the 31st Adhyaya of the Dashama Skandha of the Srimad Bhagavata Purana. And there it is said, it is a well-known composition. Jayati te adhikam janmana vraja. Here the term vraja is used. Shrayata indira shashvadatrahi. It was because of the birth of Lord Krishna in the land of Vraja that its glory increased manifold, and Indira or Lakshmi made Vraja her eternal abode. And let me tell you, in the Harivansha also it is said that Mathura, here the term used is Vraja, but in the Harivansha says that Mathura was the supreme abode of Lakshmi because of its prosperity, of course. And here also there is a reference to prosperity. And this is a painting, it's a late medieval painting. And I have taken this painting, I've this photograph from the CSMVS Museum. And here you can see that Vasudeva is carrying baby Krishna from Mathura to Gokula. And here the baby is being placed next to Yashoda. Here you can see cows and all. And here the guards are asleep. Okay, and he's taking the child across the Yamuna. And here, of course, on the top we have the Dashavataras of Lord Vishnu. Now, Mathura has been a Vaishnava center, at least from the Mauryan period, because at a mount known as the Dwadashaditya Mount, which is there in Vrindavan, either Mauryan, some scholars date it to the Mauryan period, some scholars date those bricks to the Shunga period. Inscribed bricks have been found, and it was perhaps a donation to or construction of a Bhagavata shrine by a person called Nataka. And another brick speaks about Gomitra. We've mentioned him, a local ruler of Mathura, being a follower of the Bhagavata sect. And according to certain scholars, these bricks, as you can see them in the image, are dated to the Mauryan period. Then Vasu, the son of Kaushiki Pakshika, had given donations of a gateway and a railing to the great temple of Bhagavat Vasudeva. And that great temple has been referred to as Vasudeva Mahasthana, and this was during the reign of Mahakshatrapa Shodasha. That is the very early, maybe the first or the second decade of the first century CE. And according to Acharya Vasudev Sharan Agarwal and R.C. Sharma, this inscription must have been originally there at the place of Katara Keshavadeva or the Sri Krishna Janmasthana. Then this is an image of a Vrishni Veera, and images of the 5 Vrishni Veeras were installed in a Shaila Deva Griha by a lady during the reign of Shodasha, and these Panchavrishni Veeras have been identified as Vasudeva, Sankarshana, Pradyumna, Samba, and Aniruddha. So here we find the roots of the Vyuha system of the Pancharatras as well. Then Mathura was a veritable center of Shaivism as well, and here there are inscriptions which talk about the establishment of images of Maheshwara. Then these date from the Kushana period onwards. Then similarly, I've already spoken about the Mat Devakula being a Shaiva shrine, and here we can see Shakas. Mathura was full of Shaka inhabitants, and here Shakas are worshipping a Shivalinga. So the so-called foreign population had also started practicing the Vedic Puranic religion. And this is a Mukhalinga dated to the Kushana period. Then I've already spoken about the Mathura pillar, so I won't get into the details. Then one of the earliest religious artifacts which have been found at Mathura are images of mother goddesses. So here you can see an image of a mother goddess dated to the Mauryan period. It's a terracotta figurine. And some of these images even date prior to the Mauryan period, like from the 6th century BC onwards. And from the Kushana period onwards, we have the images of a number of mother goddesses or female goddesses like Mahisha Mardini, Lakshmi, Ekanamsha, Hariti, which have been found from the Kushana period onwards. And we have images of Saptamatrakas found from the early medieval period. So this is an image of Mahisha Mardini dated to the Kushana period, and this is an image of Sri Lakshmi. This is also dated to the Kushana period. Mathura was also a very significant center of the sun worship, and images of Surya have been found from the Kushana times to the early medieval period at Mathura. In fact, in the Mathura Mahatmya, there is a reference to an Arkasthala. This is an early medieval image of Surya. Then it was also the presence of Yaksha and Naga cults, which characterized the religious milieu of Mathura. So here we can see an image of Yaksha Manibhadra from a place called Parkham near Mathura. And here we can see a Naga deity with 2 of his consorts, and here you can see worshippers. This is a Naga shrine here. Now you can already see the vestiges. And this is from the site of Sonk. And Sonk was a great center of Naga worship. This is a stone plaque from Sonk itself, which shows the court of a Naga king. Then Mathura Buddhism I've already spoken about, and both the Shakas and Kushanas gave a lot of patronage to Buddhism. It was mainly a center of Sarvastivada Buddhism. Then Mathura was a phenomenal center for Jainism. In fact, Kankali Tila was the largest Jaina settlement in South Asia in the Kushana period. And the 22nd Jaina Tirthankara, Arishta Nemi or Neminatha, is supposed to be born at Shauripura or Surya Nagar in Mathura. And he was the cousin of Krishna and Balarama. This has been mentioned in many texts, including the Jaina Harivansha. Similarly, the Vividha Tirtha Kalpa, dated to the 14th century CE, written by Jinaprabha Suri, has a chapter on Mathura and associates Mathura with the 7th Tirthankara Suparshvanatha. And this text also says that this is the birthplace of Tirthankara Kanha Vasudeva, that is Krishna Vasudeva. And the 23rd Tirthankara Parshvanatha is also supposed to have visited Mathura. Then this site of Kankali Tila had the well-known Devanirmita Stupa, which is the largest Jaina settlement, as I've already spoken. And many Jaina epigraphs tell us the kind of donations which were pouring into that establishment. Various images of Jaina Tirthankaras and Ayagapattas have been found, and Jainism continued to flourish in Mathura at least till the 14th century CE. So this is the site of Kankari Tila. These are some Jaina images from the site of Kankari Tila. This is Neminath, flanked here by Krishna and Balarama. This is an Ayagapatta with the image of a Tirthankara. Now coming to the literary sources, as far as Mathura Mahatmya is concerned, the first Mahatmya of Mathura comes in Lakshmidhara Bhatta's Kritya Kalpataru. And Kritya Kalpataru is dated to the 12th century CE, and this text has taken the Mathura Mahatmya from the Varaha Purana. Then we have the Vividha Tirtha Kalpa, then we have the Mathura Mahatmya in the extant Varaha Purana, which is the detailed account of Mathura. Then we have Rupa Goswami's Mathura Mahatmya. Then we have works. We have a work called Mathura Mahatmya, authored by Mitra Mishra. Then the greatness of Mathura has been documented in Puranas like Skanda, Narada, and Adi. Then we have the famous Narayana Bhatta's Vraja Bhakti Vilasa, which gives a detailed explanation about the various categories of vanas and many other things in the Braja region. Then we have a description of Vraja in the Chaitanya Charitamrita and other biographies of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Then we have Narahari Chakravarti's Bhakti Ratnakara. Then we have description of Vraja in the literature of the Pushti Marga. Then we have Garga Samhita, which some people say that it's a Pushti Marga text. Then we have Padas of Suradasa and other Ashtachap Kavis, who are also followers of Pushti Marga. Then we have Padas of Hitahari Vansha, who was the founder of the Radha Vallabh Sampradaya. And then we also have Prabodhananda Saraswati's Vrindavana Mahimamrita. And finally, we have Vrindavana Dhamanuragavali, dated to the 19th century CE. This is a manuscript of the Mathura Mahatmya as compiled by Rupa Goswami. And this photograph has been given to me by the Vrindavan Research Institute, Vrindavan. Then coming to the Braja Yatra, the Braja Yatra dates to the 12th century CE. But Mathura was a Krishnite center from the 10th century CE only, mainly Krishnite. It was a Vaishnava. We have seen that it was a well-known Vaishnava site. And it is believed that Mathura went into a decline. It was later rediscovered by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Mahaprabhu Vallabhacharya ji. And it was Goswami Vithalanatha ji, the son of Mahaprabhu Vallabhacharya ji, who started the Braj Chaurasi Kos Parikrama. And today every Sampradaya has its own Braja Yatra, and the Varaha Purana gives you the complete itinerary of the Parikrama of Mathura. And we have various versions of the Braja Yatras like Bana Yatra, Braja Parikrama, and Mathura Parikrama, Vrindavan Parikrama, Govardhana Parikrama, Barsana Parikrama. And essentially, we have the division of sites in this whole Mathura Mandala into the 12 Vanas, and we have some of the important temples, Tirthas along the Yamuna, Govardhana, and Radhakunda. Now, because of the shortage of time, I will be just going, I'm not getting into the details. So, first we have the Dvadasha Vanani, or the 12 Vanas, and the Mahatmya texts give you a list of the 12 Vanas, and each Vana is sacred and associated in some or the other way to Krishna. And the chief Vana is, of course, Vrindavana, which is also known as Vrindaranya on the Yamuna, or Vrinda Kanana, Vrinda Vipina. And it became the center of Gaudiya Vaishnavism, Haridasi, Nimbarka, and Radha Vallabha Sampradayas in the 16th century CE. And according to Professor Alan Entwistle, Vrindavana was the term used in general to mean a vast and densely forested area in the Braja region. Now, the references to at least some of the forests in Vraja date back to the Hari Vansha, like the Bhandiravata, Talavana, Mahavana, and Vrindavana. And the reference to 12 Vanas starts from the 14th century CE onwards, and this has been listed in the Vividha Tirthakalpa. And many of these Vanas, like for example Bhandira or Kumuda or Vrindavana, are named after the main tree or plant there. And scholars like Professor David Haberman have done a detailed study of these forests, especially in the context of Krishna Leela. So these are the 12 Vanas. I'm not getting into the details of each of them. So we have Madhuvana. Madhuvana is the place where Dhruva is said to have meditated, and some scholars associate Madhuvan with the Madhuvan of the Itihasa Purana traditions and say that this is the original site of Mathura. And there is a large mound here on which there is a temple of Dhruva Narayana, that is a temple of Dhruva and Vishnu, and there are a few other shrines. There's a beautiful kunda also there, and there is a cave of Lavanasura there, supposed to be. So this is that mound, and all around the mound there is a forest even today, and this is a modern temple which is dedicated to Dhruva and Vishnu. Vishnu here is known as Narayana, and Dhruva is said to have meditated here, and Vishnu gave him darshana. And this is supposed to be Lavanasura's cave. This is supposed to be where Lavanasura lived. Then coming to Talavana, Talavana is the place where Balarama killed Dhenukasura, the demon in the form of a donkey, and here it was full of the Tala palms. Okay, and Balaram's banner is the Tala Dhwaja, or the banner with a plantain leaf. He is called so in the Hari Vansha. So here is a temple dedicated to Balarama. All these are old temples, but they have been renovated in the recent times, so they look very new. And this is one of the Tala trees which stands there. It's definitely not that old. I mean, can't be. And it stands, and today it's a modern village. Then we have Kumudavana. Kumudavana also has a seat or a baitak of Vallabhacharya ji, and it is here that the sage Kapila had meditated. So this is the temple of sage Kapila, and this is the Ganga Sagar or the Kumuda Kunda. It is covered with foliage, but here it is there. Then coming to Kamyavana, Kamyavana is today known as Kamban or Kama, which is in Rajasthan. And the Mathura Mahatmya, the Varaha Purana, speaks about it. And it is, and the Mathura Mahatmya of the Varaha Purana is has recorded that there was a Vimala Kunda. Today also the Vimala Kunda is very much there, and it is surrounded by temples on all its sides. And recently when I had gone to Kamban in last December, I had visited this Vimala Kunda also. And some people call it the second Vrindavan. And when many of we have many of its ancient or early medieval temples being destroyed by the Delhi sultans, and this is attested by epigraphs. So this is the Vimala Kunda. It has been renovated recently. Somebody has raised a hand. I think Aparna ma'am has raised her hand. Any doubt, ma'am? Or any question? Ma'am, you can unmute, or I'll continue if. Okay, I think I'll continue. Then Kamvan is also known for the temple of Kameshwar Mahadeva, who is one of the four principal Mahadevas of Braja. And here you can see this early image of Sheshashai Vishnu, which has been kept in the Kameshwar Mahadeva temple. This is the Chaurasi Khamba at Kamavan. This is a 12th or a 13th century structure. It was definitely originally a temple, and it is situated on a very huge mound right in Kamavan. This is the image of Vrinda Devi, which was taken from Vrindavan, the Govinda Deva temple from Vrindavan, when uh, the Mughals under Aurangzeb attacked the Govinda Dev temple, and they razed a large part of it. So, to save the image from vandalism, the image of Vrinda Devi was brought to Kama, and the images of Govinda Devji and Radharani, they finally reached Jaipur, where they are still there, but Vrinda Devi remained in Kama. So this is the image. Then we have Mahavana Gokula. This is the place where Krishna spent his early life. It is also known as Brihadvana, Nandakanana, and Govraja. And many of his early Leelas, Bala Leelas, are associated with this place. So here, this is one of the archaeological mounds just outside Mahavana. This is the Samadhi of the well-known saint poet Rasa Khan, who lived around the 16th or century CE in Braj. This is also situated on a mount. Recently, they have renovated this Samadhi. Then this is the entrance to another Chaurasi Khamba, which is there, but this is in Mahavana, and it is also situated on a mount. And Mahavana is full of places which are associated with the early Leelas of Krishna. And Bhandiravana is supposed to be the place where Krishna and Radha got married. This story comes in the Garga Samhita as well as the Brahma Vaivarta Purana. And this tree that you see, this is supposed to be the place where they got married. And it was Brahma who acted as the priest. This is the well-known temple at Bhandiravana. In fact, Bhandiravana is called Radha Krishna Vivahastari, and these are the images of Krishna and Radha there. So, people who are not getting married, they go here and pray, and they believe that if they pray here, they will get married. This is Bahulavana. I think I will skip this because I'll come to Vrindavana. Now, Vrindavana, what we today know as Vrindavana is very small compared. Earlier, it was a huge track, and the Govardhana mountain was also a part of Vrindavana, and Vrindavana gets its name from the plant Tulasi or Vrinda. And it is supposed to be, this Varna is supposed to be protected by Vrinda Devi, who is perceived as a consort of Krishna. And Vrindavana is located to the northwest of Mathura, and the earliest literary references to Vrindavana are in the Hari Vansha and Vishnu Purana, and many other texts also mention it. And Vrindavana status as a sacred place greatly increased because of the Bhagavata Purana, and Bhaktas believe that Vrindavana is both, and this is based on the Bhagavata Purana, that Vrindavana is both a transcendental and an earthly space. It is celestial and terrestrial. And many a times the physical and terrestrial, or rather the terrestrial and celestial Vrindavanas, I'm sorry, are one and the same. So this is the river Yamuna at Vrindavana. This is the well-known Brahma Kunda at Vrindavana, which was supposed to be the place where Radha and Krishna performed pastimes. And historically speaking, this was the place where Sanji, this is a kind of a art which is a Rangoli kind of art which is very popular in the Vraja region, and this was the place, historically speaking, where Sanji art was demonstrated and showcased. And today also the Braj Sanskriti Shodh Sansthan holds a Sanji Mela, and it gives a lot of encouragement to the art of Sanji. Then coming to the temples, we've already seen some of the temples, and in Braja, the thing is that many of these temples are supposed to have been built by Vajranabha, who was the great grandson of Krishna, and Vajranabha had been given the kingdom of Mathura by Parikshit. Then we have the four principal Mahadevas of Mathura. It is Bhuteshwar, Kameshwar, Chakreshwar, and Gopishwar or Gopeshwar. Then we have just four Mahadevas of Mathura: Bhuteshwar, Gokarneshwar, Pippaladeshwar, and Rangeshwar. So this is a late 1st century BCE or early 1st century CE plaque which shows the worship of a Shivalinga by semi-divine beings at Bhuteshwar. This was found at Bhuteshwar. So the Shiva temple at Bhuteshwar, here it is the linga is shown under a tree, but the Shiva temple at Bhuteshwar could well date back to 2000 BP, before present. This is the temple of Bhuteshwar Shiva. It was constructed, I mean, some of it parts have been renovated, but it dates to the Maratha period. This is the Shivalinga now. This is the Gokarneshwar Mahadeva temple. This is supposed to be the image of Gokarneshwar Mahadev, but it is actually a Surya image dating to the Kushana period. This is the Rangeshwar Mahadev. I spoke about that Mathura pillar, Pashupata pillar. It was found near this temple. And this is Pippaleshwar Mahadev on the banks of the Yamuna in Mathura. This is Gopeshwara Mahadev. Mahadev took the form of a gopi to witness the Rasa Leela of Krishna, and this is located in the heart of Vrindavana. This is the well-known Katara Keshava Deva or the Sri Krishna Janma Bhumi temple, which has a history of 2000 years, and this temple was constructed and pulled down a number of times. And this temple that you see here is the Bhagavata Bhavan temple, and next to it is the mosque constructed by Aurangzeb after he demolished the original temple in 1669 CE. This is the Dirgha Vishnu temple in the old part of Mathura, and Krishna is supposed to have taken a Dirgha or large form as Vishnu Narayana to assure his Gopa friends that he will be able to kill Kamsa. Then this is the Shvetavaraha temple on a mound known as Chaubaya Pada. Here, this is Shvetavaraha. Then this is the Adivaraha temple, just next to the Shvetavaraha temple. And Mathura had a very important tradition of Varaha worship. This is the most ancient icon of Varaha found from Mathura, probably the oldest in the art history of India. But its provenance and where exactly it was found is not known. N.P. Joshi has written at length about this icon. And this is the Gatashrama Narayana temple. It's a Sri Vaishnava temple today on the mound of Gatashrama, very close to the Vishram Ghat. This is the image of Gatashrama Narayana and his two consorts. This is the Mahavidya, the Mahavidyeshwari temple. Originally, it was a Buddhist temple. From the medieval period onwards, it is dedicated to the goddess Mahavidya. Mahavidya is actually even a Buddhist goddess. These are the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavana who were the disciples of Chaitanya, and they are the ones who rejuvenated. I mean, there were others also, but they were among those who rejuvenated Vrindavana in the 16th century CE under the directions from Chaitanya himself. So this is the Madana Mohana temple on the Dwadasha Aditya mountain, from where those Mauryan period bricks were found, and this was constructed under the supervision of Sanatana Goswami. Then this is the Dwadashaditya mound. You can see the temple, Madana Mohana. This is the Govinda Deva temple. Govinda Deva is probably the oldest, one of the oldest temples in Vrindavan. It is mentioned even in the Kritya Kalpataru version of the Mathura Mahatmya. And this temple that you see was constructed by Mansingh. It was complete around 1590 C, but unfortunately in 1669 C, a part of this temple was razed by Aurangzeb. This is another view of the same temple. And this is the famous Radha Ramana temple in Vrindavan, established by Gopala Bhatta Goswami, another disciple of Chaitanya. He was originally a Sri Vaishnava from Srirangam. This is, I don't, just doesn't need any introduction. This is the Banke Bihari Ji temple. And the icon of Banke Bihari Ji was found at Nidhuvana or Nidhivana by Swami Haridas, who was the founder of the Sakhi Sampradaya or the Haridasi Sampradaya. And today, of course, whenever we talk about Vrindavan, what people say, Banke Bihari is equal to Vrindavana. Then we have many tirthas on the Yamuna, on the bank of the Yamuna. So we have the Hari Vansha, where we have the first reference to a tirtha on the Yamuna, and it is the Vishram Ghat, which is the most important tirtha on the Yamuna, and the Mathura Mahatmya extols the greatness of Vishram Ghat. In fact, the Mathura Parikrama starts with the pilgrims bathing at Vishram Ghat. Now, of course, pilgrims perform a symbolic bath. Anyway, I've just so these are some of the ghats on the river. I will show you some of their pictures. So this is the famous Vishranti Tirtha or Vishram Ghat at Mathura, and Krishna is supposed to have taken rest here after he killed Kamsa. And the structure that you see here is the medieval Sati Burj, which was uh, constructed by a Rajput ruler in the memory of his mother who committed Sati. These are the Tula Dwaras at Vishram Ghat. This is the Baitak of Mahaprabhu Vallabhacharya ji at Vishram Ghat. This is the Ballabh Ghat. This is the Surya Tirtha, where you have a modern day temple of Surya, and we know that sun worship was very prominent, very much prevalent in the Mathura region. And this is Dhruva Tirtha. Now people say that this was the tapasthali of Maharaja Dhruva, and there is a temple here, which is supposed to be the tapasthali. And this is a mount. Dhruva Tila is a mount. So the banks of the Yamuna at Mathura are all filled with mounds. This is the Rishi Tirtha or Saptarishi Ghat, and here there was a settlement of the Shakas. And this famous lion capital was discovered here, and this records the donation of this lady, Ayasia Kamuya or Kambojika, who was the wife of Rajuvula, to a Buddhist monastery of the Sarvastivada Nikaya. And this is supposed to be an image of Kambojika or Kamuya, and this was also found from the Saptarishi Tila. This is the Asikunda Tirtha, which is associated with Baraha. This temple was originally supposed to be dedicated to Varahi. Today it is dedicated to Shiva. Then this is Kanskila. This is also situated on a mount, and this is actually a Jat period fort. It has nothing to do with Kamsa. This is the Krishna Ganga Ghat. This is the Chakra Tirtha. The original name of this Tirtha was Sanyama Tirtha, and near Chakra Tirtha is the Ambarisha Mount. Chakra Tirtha is associated with King Ambarisha, and his Ambarisha Mount has yielded some of the most ancient structures and structures and artifacts in Mathura. Towards the north. Then Vrindavan also has many ghats like Chira Ghata, where Krishna, stole the chira of the gopis. Then Keshi Ghat is the place where Krishna is supposed to have killed the wild horse Keshan. And all these tirthas have been ascribed purifying qualities, and a bath at each of these tirthas frees a person from all sins. That is what the texts proclaim. And apart from this merit, the person is said to attain the abode of Vishnu or Krishna himself, especially if he gives up his body there. Then, now concluding in the next 5 minutes. This is Govardhana. Govardhana This is a part of the mountain. Govardhana is actually an 8-kilometer long mountain situated to the west of Mathura. This is a sculpture of Krishna lifting the Govardhana. This is now in the Indian Museum in Kolkata, but this has been found in the vicinity of Govardhana, and it establishes the pastoral aspect of Govardhana. And we are all aware about the Govardhana Dharana episode in the various texts. And the Govardhana hill is still very highly revered in Vraja. People perform a parikrama of Govardhana. He's called Giriraj, the king of the mountains, and he's considered to be a Swarupa of Krishna. In the Bhagavata also calls him Haridasa Varya, the best among the dasas of Hari. And Govardhana Puja along with Annakuta Mahotsav is held in the month of Kartika. So this is the performance of Govardhana Puja, where a cow dung image of Krishna lifting the Govardhana is made. And this is the Annakut Prasada, which you see. Bhog, which is offered to the Lord, and the Prasad that we receive. So there are various narratives about Govardhana. There's one in Vraja Bhakti Vilas, one in the Garga Samhita. And the Garga Samhita gives a list, in fact, a very detailed list of the tirthas in and around Govardhana. And there are many sacred kundas like the Surabhi Kunda. Then the original temple of Srinathji, the tutelary god of the Pushti Margins, was situated on Mount Govardhana. Then there is a place called Dan Ghati. There's a beautiful temple at Dan Ghati where Krishna would demand curd from the gopis. And we also have Manasa Ganga or Manasi Ganga, which is supposed to have come out of Krishna's body as a stream. And this is the temple at Manasa Ganga or Manasi Ganga, and Krishna is supposed to have performed his pastimes, his boat pastimes here. This is Chakreshwara Mahadev at Manasi Ganga. He is one of the prominent Mahadevas of Braja. This is the Harideva temple. Now, what you see is a highly renovated structure, but it was constructed by Raja Bharmal, the ruler of Amir. This is supposed to be the place where Srinathji first appeared. Just behind you, as you can see, is the Govardhana mountain. This is the Govinda Kunda, one of the prominent kundas in Govardhana. Krishna was given the title of Govinda by Indra after this Govardhana Dharana episode. Govinda means Indra of the go or the cows. So this is the Kuchuma Sarovara at Govardhana. Here what you see are the Chhatris of Surajmal Jat and his queens, but the Leela associated with this place is that Krishna would, dress Radha's hair and put flowers in it. This is a 18th century painting of the Rasa dance at Kusuma Sarovara. Then this is Sankarshana Kunda at Govardhana. This is the well-known Apsaras Kunda at Govardhana again. Then Radha Kunda, now coming to the end almost. Radha Kunda is a kunda situated quite close to the Govardhana mountain, and the Kritya Kalpaturu version of the Mathura Mahatmya calls it Kshetram Param Mama. My greatest Kshetra. Radha Kunda is Lord's greatest Kshetra, and it is said that after Lord Krishna killed Arishta, he went to meet Radharani, and Radharani was not accepting an embrace from Krishna. She said, "You have killed Arishta." Arishta was a bull demon, which Krishna killed, and she said, "You have killed a bull, a male cow. So if you don't repent, unless you don't repent, I will not accept you." So Krishna summoned all the tirthas of the universe at a place, and that kunda came to be known as the Shama Kunda. And so Radha, out of a sense of playful jealousy, she excavated another kunda there with her bangles, Radha and the Sakhis. And that came to be known as Arishta Kunda. And it is said that just like Radha is very dear to Krishna, so is her kunda. And it was discovered in the 16th century by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And bathing in Shama Kunda and Radha Kunda gives the fruit of Rajasuya and Ashwamedha yajnas. And this Kunda is supposed to have manifested itself on the day of Bahulashtami, and Deepavali is celebrated on a large scale here. So this is a view of Radha Kunda. Today Radha Kunda is the center, not today in fact. right from the 16th century CE onwards, it is a center of Gaudiya Vaishnavas. In fact, there we have the Bhajana Kuti of some of the Goswamis of Vrindavan, then even Janhava Devi Thakurani, who was the consort of Nityananda, one of the close associates of Chaitanya. She has her Bhajan Kuti there. Now, most of the structures are modern. But those places have been marked. And even Krishnadasa Kaviraj, who wrote the Chaitanya Charitamrita, he is supposed to have written the Chaitanya Charitamrita there, in the vicinity of Radha Kunda. So this is one of the temples around Radha Kunda. People perform a parikrama of Radha Kunda, and apart from Vaishnava temples, there are many Shaiva temples also there. So this is the Thakur Radharamanji Maharaj temple at Radha Kunda. Now, of course, we have many other new places like Nandgaon and Barsana. And I think I will just skip this because it requires a lot of other detail. So to conclude, Mathura is considered as a mandala or a demarcation of the sacred space where we have concentration of Krishna's divine potency. It has been imagined as a lotus, and many songs of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas also talk about, not Mathura but Vrindavana as a lotus. And Mathura mandala is described as being 20 yojanas in its length, and the Vraja Mandala Parikrama is performed in the month of Kartika, and this is the holiest month for the Vaishnavas, and many Vaishnavas congregate in Mathura and Vrindavan to perform this Parikrama. The Bana Yatra was initiated by Narayana Bhatta in the mid 16th century CE, and now, of course, we don't find a difference between the Vraja Parikrama, the Vraja Yatra, and the Bana Yatra. Then I was going to speak about the lactating cow motif, but I have skipped that. It is the place where that cow was performing Abhishek at a place, and that is where Rupa Goswami discovered the icon of Govinda Dev. And the Mahatmya texts reflect the development of Mathura and her surroundings as a sacred scape and faithscape. Sacred landscape of Braja is closely intertwined with its ecology, especially when we consider the Vanas, the river Yamuna and Govardhana. Ecological elements have been incorporated in the Krishna narrative. Both Govardhana and Yamuna are considered to be the Swarupas of Krishna. For the Vaishnavas, Mathura and Vrindavana are eternal, and the Leela of Bhagavan Krishna is also eternal. So the Leela is going, it is continuously going on. So I would say, Mathurayaः param kshetram त्रैलोक्येन विद्यते तस्यां वसाम्यहं देवी Mathurayam cha sarvada. This is one shloka where Varaha is telling his wife that I am going to stay here. And lastly, Sarvesham Devi Tirthanam cha param mahat Krishnena kriditam tatra tat shuddham hi pade pade. Because this place has been the site of Krishna's pastimes, it is pure at every step. So, thank you so much. If we have any questions, we can take. Any question?
Yes, madam. You stated about the. May I
Please.
speak? Yeah. You stated about the coins found in Koshana's reign, which was the first inscription about Buddha.
Yeah.
But it was in English
It was in
language,
the
right?
Greek script. Yes.
Achha, that's the Greek
Yes.
script.
Yes.
Okay. So can you little put some light on it? How they got because it's a Kushana's reign, so it's very oldest. I mean, the time frame I couldn't understand.
Kushana ruled from the 1st century CE to the 3rd century CE. I mean, this was the height of their rule, and they continued later also, as indicated by the Prayag Prashasti of Samudragupta. But their empire across India had declined by the time the Guptas came to power. So the time frame is 1st century CE to the 3rd century CE.
Okay, but how come the Greek scripture
Because
letters
see,
were
the
there?
region where they were ruling, northwestern part of India, before
Uh-huh.
the Kushanas came, was ruled by the Indo-Greeks and the Bactrian Greeks.
Okay.
So even, and this was there since the Mauryan times.
Mm-hmm.
So the Greeks had a very dominant presence in the northwest. And let me tell you one thing, madam, that even in Mathura,
Mm-hmm.
probably there were Greeks living. Why go far to Mathura? Even in Maharashtra, there were colonies of Greeks and Romans.
Oh, at
So
that time.
yes,
Uh-huh.
and Mathura art does show an impact, some impact of Greek art. So Gandhara art that you see, which mainly flourished during the reign of Kanishka, its form is Greco-Roman. And why? Because
Mhm.
that impact was there, and many Greeks were living in that area. That's why the Greek script.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. I think Dhananjay Vasishtha ji has raised her hand.
Yeah. First of all, thank you so much, ma'am, for giving so detailed information about this Mathura related thing. Actually, I was interested in this topic, and I had gone through few books also, like as you mentioned about David Haberman, or Dr. David Haberman. So, like 2 months back, I met him and I talked with him. He has written books on Yamuna and Govardhan Hill also. So,
Yes, yes,
yeah.
yes.
So I was interested in this thing. So I'll be very, actually, this was a very condensed class. Like you had to skip many sections. So it will be very
Yes,
helpful. It will be very helpful for us. Like if you can start some detailed series on this particular Mathura related topic. It can be a like combination. It can be a multiple, some 4 or 5
yeah.
classes. So this is one thing. Another, like it will be very helpful for us, like if we can get the recording. I think you have recorded this.
Yes, yes, I'm recording it. Yes, yes.
Yeah, if we can get the recording of this today's session plus the slide decks, so that will be very helpful for
Yes,
me to go through this. And
yes.
also if you have some like literature review or some resources, or if you have published some papers,
Hmm, hmm, hmm.
so they'll be very helpful for us. If, like we can go through them. You can share those things.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay. Sure.
So thank you.
Anyone else?
Yes. Hi, Sneha. It
Hello, ma'am.
was really comprehensive and nice lecture about Mathura. Um, so, can you tell me? I have two queries. You mentioned about Dharmakaya regarding Buddha.
Hmm.
So, what was that term? Okay.
Dharmakaya basically refers to his teachings. So Buddha, in
Okay.
the form of his teachings, reached a certain place. So he did not physically go there. So that is
Okay.
the Dharmakaya. It is a metaphorical term, but that is the
Okay.
Dharmakaya. Dhammakaya. But
Okay. Okay. Okay.
yeah.
Secondly, what is the current scenario? Means, is there any Jain architecture present in the Mathura?
There are Jain temples, modern Jain temples, but I'll let you know. I can't recall exactly, but I will let you know. It is not as prominent as it used to be, say, a couple of 2000 years back, obviously, but yes, it is still an important Jaina Tirtha. I will give you the details.
Okay, and what about the religion? The Jain religion means, are there any Jainas lives over there right now?
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
especially
Okay.
in the, I'm not sure about actual Jain residents, but I will find out. But I'm sure that wherever there are Jain, temples, people must be
Must
living
be
there.
there.
I
Okay.
have not,
Yeah.
in my study so far, I have not come across any Jaina inhabitant of Mathura. So far, I haven't come across.
Okay. Okay. Fine. 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 I'll keep in touch with you. Okay.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else? Any other questions? Okay, so I think we'll close here. So I request Sanket ji to kindly do the conclusion, to give his concluding remarks.
Yeah. It was very wonderful session on मथुरा and the entire तब जो भी पुरातन काल से जो भी मथुरा में जो भी चीजें हुई है कृष्ण भगवान के उसके पहले समय से उसके बारे में आपने काफी डिटेल में जानकारी दी। मैं और प्रेक्षकों को से भी उनका अभिनंदन करता कि उन्होंने करीबन अराउंड वी हैव 1.5 an hour and more than that they have listened the all the things in the details. Most of them also required in all details about the its consecutive parts or regarding other cities like Mathura, which they would like to hear in future. So we will also take some kind of session in also future, so that they can also know about the other things. So I thankful to the Sneha madam for this wonderful session, and thanks all the participants who have joined this meeting.
Thank you, Samskara
Thank
Bharati
you.
Kokan Pranta. Thank you so much.